So, today I wanted to talk about Doja Cat's Planet Her album. Now, it's taken me a while to get into this album, simply because when I first heard it, I couldn't finish it. I just was not a fan of it at all. I was very disappointed. It was very underwhelming. I was expecting a more mature body of work from Doja Cat because Doja Cat's just so talented. She's so versatile. I was expecting like a really, really good, versatile album. I was expecting an album of highlighting like everything that we've liked from Doja Cat, like Streets and Say So, like that disco pop, that very sensual R&B sound. I was expecting stuff like that, but then introducing some new stuff as well. I feel like that's what an album should be. An album should be, oh yeah, I liked this. I'm gonna showcase more of this on this new album, and then I've been experimenting with this new sound that I also want to implement into this album as well. You know, there are gonna be some hits on this album, and then there's gonna be some personal stuff, and then there's gonna be some stuff that y'all want, that I want, we all win. This album just felt very repetitive. Like sonically, it just sounded very repetitive. The songs just sounded like reference tracks. They sounded like demos. They sounded just very incomplete. They just sounded like unfinished ideas that you give to an artist and they actually complete it. Like these verses are just very forgettable. You don't really just think too much of them. They're not bad, but they just aren't impressive. They don't really connect in any way, shape, or form. They're kind of just there, and you kind of just hear it, and it's like, if the song just doesn't sound aesthetically pleasing to the ear, then it just doesn't have anything else to offer to you as far as a meaning or a substance. It just seems like a bunch of just hit or miss melodic songs, and that's just a big letdown from an artist that's Doja Cat. Doja Cat is very talented as a songwriter. She's very talented as far as versatility, and she's good at what she does. So for her to release an album that sounds like an amateur debut pop star is just a very step in the wrong direction. And another thing that's just very unfortunate is that I just feel like Doja Cat has yet to release a good album, like a collective, cohesive, good body of work. I feel like her other albums have good songs on them. Like they have hits, they have high moments, but then it just drops. I feel like in her other albums, like Hot Pink is a great example of this. I just feel like it's a hit or miss with every single song. Like when I was listening to Hot Pink and Amala, I felt like the next song I'm either gonna like it or I'm gonna not like it. There was just not like okay. It just seemed like she has yet to have a collective body of work. And I felt like this was going to be the time. I felt like there was a lot of improvement from Amala and Hot Pink, but I just felt like this third album was going to bring to the table everything that she was missing, and it just didn't do anything that I wanted this album to do, which is extremely disappointing because Doja Cat has been doing nothing but hitting like recently, like, you know, with Streets, and Kissy More is a bop, like Kissy More song of the summer, and then she just came off of a Say So, and then Streets was amazing. Like, I just felt like this song was going to showcase everything that we've been liking from Doja so far, but this album just sounds like a whole new person. It just seems like all these songs sound very, very similar to one another. You know, the way that she was flowing and the way that she was sounding, it didn't sound like she was chasing a sound or anything. It felt like she was doing her own thing. But in this album, I just feel like there's just nothing unique, or there's no personality, there's no identity in this album. And I felt like Doja was going to be the artist that was going to showcase a more mature body of work. And that is just not the situation, which is very, very disappointing. And I do want to say, just because that this album is a collection of songs, that doesn't mean that it can't be a good album. There are plenty of albums that are just a collection of songs and they're amazing. But these songs just seem like a bunch of darts that just didn't hit the board. Like they were kind of just thrown. Like there wasn't a real purpose of these songs other than to sound pleasing to the ear. These songs weren't pushing a narrative or a message or had no real meaning to it. But I will say this album is definitely a grower. Some songs have caught on to me, but collectively the album just feels like it just does not feel finished. I just wish that there was a point, and this album is just so poppy. It just feels like sonically nothing else is going on. It feels like once you hear the first 3 songs, that sound, that with the 808s in the background and just that little I can't really like describe it, but like the album sound is stagnant. Like it just sounds the same throughout the whole entire thing, which makes it very repetitive, and that's a letdown because Doja does so much. Like She does so much. Like, she raps really amazingly. She has like some good R&B tracks. Like, Been Like This was cute. It was cute, but it wasn't a streets. Like, I just feel like there just wasn't no intimacy in this album. I just feel like I felt like I wasn't hearing a person in this album. I felt like I was just hearing something that just was not complete. And I keep saying that over and over again. I'm telling like this album, I don't want to completely judge this album for the lack of depth and substance, because for all I know, maybe that was just her direction. Maybe she just wanted to release something that was fun, lighthearted. And if that's the case, then this album still failed on that, because it's just that these songs are kind of forgettable. They don't present an element that is unique that would make me want to come back to this album. There are some good bops here and there, but I don't see myself like, oh yes, I want to hear Planet Her today. It just, like, there might be some songs that I might want to listen to every now and then, but I just feel like this album just does not present anything that is unique or that is special, that is synonymous with the Planet Her era, which is a big letdown. But I will say that as a body of work, I guess this is her better album. I feel like Hot Pink is better as far as it had better songs, but I feel like as a collective body of work, I feel like consistently this album showcased better music. Hot Pink had ups and downs, like one song be like, oh, like this was amazing, and then the next song be like, then the next song be like, ooh, then the next song be like, versus this album, it was kind of like, that was alright, that was alright, then it'd be like, ooh, I like that one, then I didn't like it was consistently just a lot better than her other albums. But just the no rapping, no substance, it just feel like, I personally feel like there was still a missed opportunity. I feel like I'm still kind of salty, because I just feel like there was a chance and an opportunity for a whole concept and for a whole theme around female empowerment, maybe like the whole intergalactic storyline possibly. I felt like that was going to be like the theme of like intergalactic, like, I don't know, like one woman, like the idea of like a woman being like supernatural or just intergalactic. I don't know. I was expecting something on the lines of that, not this super repetitive, poppy, kind of like rap trap sound that I just was not the biggest fan of. But I will say some of my favorite tracks from this album was Been Like This, Kiss Me More, Get Into It, yeah. Get Into It, yeah, was something that definitely had to grow on me. Like, that was, I will say that this album is definitely a grower. As you listen to it more and more, I will say certain songs do begin to pick up and be catchy. Like, when I was listening to this album, I did find myself beginning to sing some of the melodies and whatnot. Like, it's a cute album. It's not a bad album. The reason why this review sounds so negative is because I feel like Doja Cat is very talented. Like, I really believe in this artist. I feel like she can do a lot better than what was showcased in this album, which is why this feels so negative. Like I said, like, if this was like an amateur, like, pop star debut, I'd be like, okay, like, I can see them doing better. Like, if this was Lil Nas X's first EP out, I'm like, this is amazing. But I feel like Doja Cat can do so much better than this. I feel like she can be one of the main girls in music. I feel like she is. And to consider her like the main girl in music and to come out with something like this is unacceptable. It's cute, but it's just not fair. But my faves, Been Like This, Kiss Me More, Get Into It. I love Alone. Alone was everything. Tonight was really good. I wish she rapped along with Eve. Like, I don't know why you have a female rapper on your song, you're not rapping with her. I wish that would have happened. And I liked Love to Dream. Like, those are my fave songs. I liked those so much. And just in conclusion, just not all bad, but just very disappointing and underwhelming. I feel like throughout the album, it just felt like she was looking for a sound versus having a body of work that already had an established theme. It felt like she was looking for something versus and I feel like an album is supposed to be like, oh, I found this and I want to share it with you. It felt like she was experimenting, and there's nothing wrong with experimenting on your album. It just feels like it just shouldn't be the entirety of your album that you're trying something new out, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's what I was getting from this album. And it just felt unfinished. Like, I don't know why. I do know why it feels unfinished. Like, the verses were just very forgettable. They just gave me like just very none of these songs stood out or had an identity. I feel like a broken record, just like this album. I would give this album a 7 out of 10. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I would have given it a 6 out of 10, but I will say that if you keep listening to some on this album, like this album would definitely grow on you. Like certain songs that you were on the offense about at first, it'll be gonna catch on. I feel like this is a good album to play in the background. Like, it's not a bad album. Like, I don't want to be like, this is trash, like dismiss it, but it is definitely not the best this year. It's still Sorry by Olivia Rodrigo, but she definitely could have done better. But this is not a bad album at all. It's not a bad album. And yeah, 7 out of 10. And I feel like those are my thoughts about this album. What are your thoughts about Planet Her? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you agree with me? Disagree? Do you hate my video? Let me know below. And yeah, that was my thoughts. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'm out.